So thank you very much to everyone. Welcome to the forum stage of the TUM Blockchain Conference. Thank you for being here this early. This is going to be our first talk of the day. Very excited for it. Mr. Alireza Siadat, with a professional crypto and DLT advisor, is going to be telling us more about regulation of crypto assets. So please.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's very nice to be here. I was already here last year, so I'm very impressed about what you're doing here. Very kudos to your team. So I'm Alireza. For those who don't know me, I'm a German lawyer, a regulatory lawyer. I would rather call myself a crypto lawyer. I have actually two hats on. I'm a partner of a boutique law firm called Anderton, and at the same time I'm advising different companies, and today I'm also supporting 1inch. So if you haven't seen 1inch, downstairs is a booth of 1inch, and I'm also going to have a couple of slides on DEX regulation, and on the example I'm going to show you a little bit about 1inch. So yeah, I'm going to kick off this thing. If you have any questions and you have anything you want to ask, just interact with me. The room is small enough. I don't get irritated if someone is asking me questions in between, so just raise your hand. And I will also ask you a couple of questions, so please don't hesitate to raise your hand if I'm asking something. And yeah, let's jump in. And so you're going to see here an overview of the crypto regulation as I have witnessed it myself. I started with crypto actually 2014, so a long time ago. And this diagram in the back shows you the timeline what happened between end of 2013 till 2024 and what's maybe coming in 2025. So who of you was trading or doing anything with crypto back in 2014? Please raise your hand. No one? That's a pity. That's a pity. Okay, so by the way, if you get this slide, I hope you get this slide somehow. These are hyperlinks, so you click on it, you get to the main source, and you can read exactly what really happened there. So back in 2013, the German regulator was the first regulator globally, so the German regulator BaFin, who made a publication on crypto assets. So it was on Bitcoin. There was a warning on consumers not investing in Bitcoin because it's highly volatile. Do you know where you could have traded at that time Bitcoin? So what was it like one of the first marketplaces? Any one of you who knows any marketplace? Yes. Yeah, great, Mt. Gox. So what I did back in 2014, I was with PwC, I was a young associate, and I was asked to dig into banking without banks. It was a project with the European Securities Market Authority, ESMA, and banking without banks then became fintech. So the term fintech did not exist at that time. So I came up and said, okay, I found something, I don't know what it is, if it's an investment asset or payment instrument, it's called Bitcoin. So, and I wanted to buy myself Bitcoin. It was very cheap, I think it was 12 euro. And so I was going online, and I found Mt. Gox, and I was saying, okay, if I now buy this, where does it go to? Where's the account? And who has access to the account? I was like trying to find out like the impressum of or the legal imprint of Mt. Gox. Couldn't find anything. And where was another big marketplace, which every one of you knows, and where people in Germany actually really bought Bitcoin? So, any of you heard of it? eBay. You could have bought on eBay Bitcoin back in 2014. And I know a couple of people who did it. And it was very funny because they were like people from the US offering Bitcoin, and you could buy it, I don't know, like for $5, $6, $7, $8. And then after you bought it, the seller, of course, asked, where should I send it? And I was like, I don't know, by post? No, like, where's the wallet address? I don't have a wallet. And then, okay, they will say, okay, then if you like pay €5 or $10 more, I'm gonna put it on a USB stick and send it to you. So this is how it worked at that time. And guess what? eBay was not regulated, because what they did back in that time, I'm gonna show you, it was actually crypto, it was a crypto exchange, because they were putting together the seller and the buyer of crypto assets. And that's the definition of a crypto exchange. So eBay was like one of the first crypto exchanges which the German regulator BaFin didn't even like had on their mind, so they didn't really approach them. They had on their mind at that time two companies in Germany. One was a pub in Berlin. They unfortunately closed because of Corona, where you could have paid with Bitcoin. And the second one was in Frankfurt, an antiquary shop where you could like trade historic stuff. So these were the only two ones. So this is why I, back in 2014, didn't really advise on crypto. There was nothing to advise on, but I was still like looking into the technology and so on and so on. And as you see here, on the top you see like what the FATF, for those of you who don't know it, the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, was doing on virtual assets. or virtual currency. First I called it virtual currency, and then it became virtual asset. So they changed the term a little bit, they made it a little bit more wider. The FATF is giving recommendations. It's not like a lawmaker. They're giving recommendations, but the recommendations are not just soft law, because in practice they are, I would say, in the end of the day, a customary law. And if you do not act according to the recommendations of the FATF, you will be put on a blacklist. So this happened to Iran, this happened to Cuba, to North Korea, and so on and so on. So therefore, companies do not want, or institutions, jurisdictions, they do not want to be on a blacklist. So the FATF started also very early to give recommendations on how to deal with crypto assets, more from an AML perspective, from a CFT perspective. Please come in, sit down. These recommendations are very important for two reasons. One reason I already told you: if you do not comply with recommendations, you're quickly put on some blacklists and so on. And the second reason, which is very much important, is the recommendations of the FATF goes directly to what the lawmaker in Europe, it's usually the European Commission or the European Securities Market Authority, like one of the ESAs, put into law. So the recommendation of the FATF went directly to the Anti-Money Laundering Directive 5, which for the first time had a definition on crypto assets, and for the first time asked those who provide crypto custody or other crypto services to be obligated under AML law, which means they have to do KYC and stuff like that. So this, of course, went further and further. Germany was already from 2014 very tough on regulation. So whilst all the other countries within the European Economic Area did not really regulate the utility token, did not really regulate exchanges. They only asked for registering as a CASP, which means in the end of the day, you register yourself voluntarily to become obligated under AML regulation. But Germany did it differently. Germany said from the beginning, if you trade with crypto assets, you need a trader license. If you do custody for crypto assets, at the latest from 2020, when Germany put that in law, you need a license for crypto custody. So the first crypto custody service provider and trading company in Europe, which got the license in Germany, which one was that? Who knows it? One of the biggest exchanges. No, Bitpanda was the fourth.
Coinbase.
Yes, it was Coinbase. And if you look in the Coinbase registry, who put that company in Germany, you will find my name. Because I brought it basically from London back to Europe, because during Brexit they wanted to leave the European Union. And I told them, do you know about the regulation in Germany? They said, what regulation? They said, hey, there's new regulation coming. You get a license, and then I told them the MiCA is coming, the Markets and Crypto Assets Regulation. If you get the license in Germany, you can upgrade it to the European license, and then you can approach all the players in Europe, like 700 billion. It really is, yeah, it's really like clear rules and everything. So within 2 days, they gave me a call and said, okay, we're flying over to Germany, we're going to buy a company, as you told us, and we're going to go to the regulator. I said, in 2 days? Yes, in 2 days. And that's how it happened. So go to the registry, check out the first entry of Coinbase Germany, and you will find my name in the bottom. Well, I signed that thing, okay? So, and they were like the first ones which I introduced to the German regulator BaFin before Corona started in February 2020. And then Corona came, and for 2 years no one could really approach BaFin physically anymore. But they were the first ones, and BaFin was very welcoming, very surprised. They got also the first license. They were the first regulated player. Now we have 10 crypto custodians in Germany, so licensed crypto custodians. There are some who still are waiting for the license. And a couple of exchanges like Bitpanda, Binance failed, unfortunately. And Kraken is still in the process of somehow entering the European market, maybe through Germany, maybe through Austria, but they have a cooperation with DLT Finance, which is a crypto custodian and provides also some kind of brokerage services, etc., etc. So enough said on this. Here you see a little bit of an outlook on what happens in parallel. There are a couple of things which are really complicated, like the law on electronic securities, EWPG. So if you are interested in that, go to the gentleman from the VM. They're also telling you a lot from the perspective on how to build up the infrastructure of electronic securities, because you need easing and stuff like that, and very interesting but very complicated. Security token. A security token which I put into a registry, very unique, regulated in Germany only, not outside of Germany. And DLT pilot regime, you can build up an MTF and OTF, you don't need to have a proper license, a sandbox model, but I think active for the last 2 or 3 years where you can apply for that, and so far none of them got the license, I think. So they are still all waiting to get the license for sandbox model. Very complicated. And then my favorite, and this is something you're going to listen a lot today, and later are some, I think, workshops on it, that's why I'm not going to talk too much about it, but the markets and crypto assets regulation is something which is putting the regulation for the entire European economic area on cryptocurrencies, on e-money token, on asset reference token, on utility token. So everything which is not a security token is going to be regulated in Europe by MiCA, or MiCA, as Americans like to say, and it's a blueprint in the end of the day. UK is already building on something similar, US is probably doing something similar, in Asia they're thinking of doing something similar. You probably heard about Abu Dhabi, they have the new law on crypto regulation. They actually looked at Liechtenstein, again, a token container model, but very close to MiCA. Vara in Dubai, they have a license which is similar because they were all advised by Europeans. Therefore, if you understand the MiCA regulation, you will understand sooner or later the whole regulation on how crypto assets are going to be regulated globally. So much about that. A couple of more words on MiCA. Besides being a lawyer, I was also active in as a board member and one of the task force members for the European Commission who worked on the first text of MiCA. And we wrote at that time with INAPA, where I was a board member, 270 pages on recommendations how to change the text, basically. But it's a very good text in the end of the day, even though I would say on some points the regulation is too tough. I'm more a friend of having risk-based regulation, not too tough on technology, because it should be technology neutral. But if you look into the MiCA text, you see it's not technology neutral at the end of the day. So much about that. For those of you, who of you is familiar with token and crypto regulation? Hands up. Okay, so I would say maybe 30% of the audience. Those who are not familiar with it, actually very easy. So this is like a distinction which the Swiss regulator FINMA put up first in 2017, and it is very simple because it basically says there are three types of tokens. You have currency or payment token, you have utility token, and you have security token. Security token are regulated like securities. In Europe it is the MiFID regulation, the Market and Financial Instruments Directive. In the US the SEC is looking at it. And everything else, which is utility token or currency token, was so far not really regulated. Only in Germany it was regulated, as I said, and it's now coming to the MiCA text. But to distinguish it, most of the people don't really understand how to distinguish it. Most people understand, okay, security token is something where you get money, maybe you have voting rights, yes, that's right. But it's much easier. It's much easier. The difference between a security token and a currency token is called third-party acceptance, which means the issuer of the token is the one who should normally accept the token. If you come in, for example, you get the token and you get something out of the token, dividends, like you get a cash out, payout, or you have some voting rights, or you get some utility, like a voucher or something like this. This you normally get against the issuer. So if I issue the token, I owe to the one who's buying the token something. That's a basic idea. But if a third party, like a shop, accepts the token for a good, so you get a good and you get paid with the token, then it is a third-party acceptance. This is the basic idea of a payment instrument. Yeah? And utility token and security token, they only have the issuer who accepts the token, whilst the payment token has a third-party acceptance, like Bitcoin. Third-party acceptance given by practice. Yeah? So other people accept the token and accept it as a means of payment. And that's the basic idea. Utility token, you get a good or a voucher. Payment token, you can use it for third parties to pay with it. Security token, you can only give it back to the issuer and you get dividends or voting rights. That's the idea. So you're going to give me like the warning how much time I have. I tend to talk too much. This is like a general overview on what kind of crypto assets we have and how they are regulated. And this is already what I told you a little bit, but this is like a slide which shows you also the future under the MiCA regulation. As I said in the beginning, you have utility token, you have stable coins, which is e-money token and asset reference token. They're going to be regulated under the MiCA. MiFID is still taking care of security token. Then you have NFTs, which if it's like a true NFT, it is non-fungible because it is technically unique. It's an ERC 721 or ERC 1155. Plus the rights which it covers, the token, they are unique. Yeah? A Bored Ape is unique because each Bored Ape picture exists only once. If you have a Bored Ape NFT, you have the right to use this image, which only exists once, also for commercially purposes. Like Sony got one and made a music video, and they could take the interest out of that music video, which I did with the Bored Ape picture, because they had the rights to it. Yeah? And the Bored Ape is unique. However, like a Messi NFT or Dennis Schröder NFT is not unique because only one token, the one which is called unique, is unique. Rare, super rare, and so on, they exist more than once. They exist 100,000, 200,000 times, and therefore they are not unique. Therefore, even though they are on an ERC 721 or 1155, which is a unique standard, the right which is covered is not unique because they have it more than once. And then they would fall under the MiCA tax. But they would be regulated by MiCA because they're not true NFTs. CBDCs, like, please come in here, there's some seats here in the front. CBDCs is like a means of payment which is issued by a central bank or by a state. They're also not covered by MiCA. Hopefully we're going to have some CBDCs in Europe, but as I understand, only the wholesale CBDCs, so those which are for corporates, are going to be on the blockchain. Everything else which is on retail is going to be on some IBM standard, which is not really DLT based. So much on that. I talked about the instruments. The instruments are not really regulated. Yeah? Unlike that you need maybe white paper or prospectus, but this is not regulation. Regulated are always the services. And here's a catalog of services where you see what is regulated. Custody, operation of a trading platform, exchange, execution of orders, placement of crypto assets, reception, transmission of orders, advice on crypto assets, transfer of crypto assets, and crypto portfolio management. These are like the 10 services which are going to be regulated by MiCA, and something like this exists also in MiFID, except for the transfer service, which is a payment service, and always the services are regulated. So you can issue your token if you do an ICO, this is not regulated. But if you provide a service, this is regulated, okay? Just keep that in mind. Some use cases. So this you should all know. It's a Bitcoin payment use case, cross-border. And if you look inside the white paper, yes, it is. It was originally or should be like a payment instrument. For me, it's not a payment instrument. Who is really paying with Bitcoin? There are some, but not that many. And I tell you this because I do a lot of projects with bigger players who now accept crypto and Bitcoin as a payment instrument, and the statistics say it. For technical reasons, volatility reasons, and so on and so on. Therefore, Bitcoin is not really a payment instrument. Yeah? I'm not talking about Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash and so on, I'm talking about Bitcoin. But the idea is very, very simple. You replace the intermediaries, like a bank, like a payment scheme, MasterCard, etc., etc. This is a simple picture. This is a more sophisticated picture. Yeah? And on the left side, you see how a payment transaction works. Cross-border, you need really lots of intermediaries. On the right side, you see how you can replace the intermediaries with smart contracts, and then they call it DeFi. For me, this is not really DeFi, because DeFi has more. We're going to jump to that. But the basic idea is you replace the intermediaries, and then you do the payment or the transaction peer-to-peer, and you have it managed and coordinated by smart contracts which are configured from the beginning. And if you do it properly, it is not regulated. If you do it properly. But DeFi, if you want to understand what DeFi means, just look at the publication of the German Bundesbank, a very nice publication back in July 2021, where they give you a definition of DeFi, and where they actually also say, like in the last sentence, a very nice summary of DeFi, because they say this dynamically growing area is proving to be very innovative and is increasingly developing points of contact with the conventional financial system. Yeah? And what I said before, DeFi also means at the end of the day, you replace intermediaries, and you have a direct interaction between the sender and the recipient of information. Yeah? That's basically the idea. That's the definition, that's an overview, it's a little bit old, but still up to date, of some DeFi players. So when we talk about DeFi, there are a lot of things, not just DEX, you have also custodians of insurance, of marketplaces, etc., etc. A nice overview for those of you who are not familiar with the DeFi environment. And why I'm talking about DeFi is very simple, because DeFi is not really regulated. If you look inside the MiCA text, if you look at the regulation globally, if you have a fully decentralized environment, and you have to pay attention to fully decentralized, then it's not regulated. Yeah? And it's still not clear what fully means. Yeah? Is it fully if no person is doing anything, but what is with those who develop the protocols? What is with the developers? What is with those who maybe run the web page? Yeah? Does that make the DeFi not anymore fully decentralized? Yeah? And if this is the answer, then there's no fully decentralized thing, a project, which I know. But this is how, for example, the DEX worked on the example of 1 inch. Yeah? So let's say we have someone who's located in Germany, you have someone who's located in Russia. The one who's located in Germany, let's say it's me. Yeah? What do I do? I have my self-hosted wallet, it's on my smartphone. I go on 1 inch and I look for a swap opportunity. I don't know, I want to swap, let's say 1 inch against ETH. And so they have at least 2 protocols on 1 inch, which one is a Pathfinder, which shows me like the best results on how to do a swap in the most fastest and cheapest way. In the end of the day, it's best execution, what you know from MiFID. And then I do the swap by saying, yes, I want to do it. So the discretion is lying with me. I have a wallet, I have my private keys, so it's self-hosted. Yeah? I only see trading opportunities, and I say, yes, I want to do it. And then I find maybe someone who's located in Russia, and this person also has a self-hosted wallet, and is also having an app and a 1 inch access, and then I'm trading against this person. So in that context, you have to ask yourself, is this regulated? And the answer is not really. It's not regulated. If it's in this context. If you have a market maker in the background, and the market maker is doing something, the market maker maybe is regulated, but in a simple structure, it is not regulated. So what happens if I trade against someone from Russia? As you know, lots of things regarding Russia are sanctioned. Right now, the 9th European sanction package on Russia. And if you look into it, you see that basically anyone with a Russian passport, even living in Germany, is not allowed to have a crypto custody account. Yeah? Normally, you're not allowed to trade against Russians if you didn't check if this person is listed on a sanctions list. How do you want to do it in DeFi? I mean, you don't have the name, you don't have any ID for the person. You don't even know if this person is really in Russia. Yeah? You can use IP blockers and so on and so on. But in the end of the day, if a big company is doing that, if a big company is interested to do trading on DEX like 1 inch, they have difficulties. And then you have to ask yourself, who's in charge if something goes wrong? Who's liable, for example, if then maybe the US authorities, OFAC, is coming and asking what you're doing? I mean, we saw it lately. Those of you who know the DeFi environment know that Alexei Petsev in the Netherlands is in prison for developing a protocol for Tornado Cash. Yeah? So it can happen to anyone. And the question is, who's in charge in the end? Is it the ones who set up 1 inch? Is it the 1 inch network, which is a DAO? Is it you yourself? Is it someone who helps you to do it? So what happens if the protocol is somehow failing, or if something goes wrong? Back in the days in 2017, there was an ICO called DAO, the DAO. It failed in the end because the protocol was not really working, and people found it out. So who is reliable for that? All of that questions bring you to the point to say, okay, fully non-regulated environment maybe doesn't really work. So I would also say that fully non-regulated doesn't work. Even 1 inch and other DEXs, they're thinking of doing something by themselves to do at least sanction checks, to at least KYC, to help at least the users to be on the safe side, not getting under pressure by authorities. And this is why we have this. Yeah? By the way, I'm talking very fast and no one asked any question. If you want to ask a question, if there's anything, just raise your hand. Yeah? I'm trying to be in time, that's why I'm pushing a little bit through. But if you don't get a chance to raise hand and say something, you can always find me on LinkedIn or downstairs at the 1 inch booth. And I'm very happy to talk and to explain stuff and even to give you the slides if you can't find it anywhere else.
Just out of curiosity, is there any discussion ongoing with the BaFin around DeFi?
I hope so. Stefan Müglin is here and Sarah Gamberg is also here. So Stefan Müglin, I'm not sure about what he's talking, and Sarah, she's going to have with Philipp Maume later in the afternoon a fireside chat. So Sarah is from Bundesbank, Stefan Müglin is from BaFin. You can approach them and ask them. Go there and ask them what they think. Yeah, the back, Axel.
Yeah, just regarding the economic prospects of DeFi. If BaFin decides that anyone who's earning money with DeFi, leaving aside node operators, is a central institution and will be held liable, then in the effect you can't earn money with DeFi, and so the applications will be limited. Right?
Yeah.
Is that the correct assumption?
Yeah, that is a correct assumption. If you come from a criminal law perspective, you can always get to the ones and stop it, and BaFin has the means to do that. They can give it further to the prosecutors and the police and stuff and so on. You probably saw it in Germany. BaFin was most recently with the police people going and getting to the German Bitcoin ATMs and confiscating Bitcoin ATMs and stuff like that. So they're known for these funny actions. And this is why what I said, some of the DEX, they are already doing a so-called voluntarily licensing or voluntary regulation. You will see it in the news sooner or later that some of the DEXs will get licenses, not directly from Germany, but maybe from Dubai or Abu Dhabi, and then they will roll it out. So this is, I think, the way forward. I can promise you, Axel, that we will have in the next 2 to 3 years the bigger players like 1inch and Uniswap to have some kind of license, because without a license, now I think they're not really doing that much, but MiCA 2.0, which is going to be 2 or 3 years, is going to have probably something on DeFi. Yeah?
So someone will raise their hand and say, well, this is my DeFi solution, right? And please give me a license.
Yes, exactly. And there will the first one coming and saying we do it like this, and we do like anti-money laundering checks with our own protocol, and we do KYC and this and this and this. And so if you find one regulator which accepts it, you have a good way forward to go to the next regulator and get it also approved, and then you roll it out. So I'm not really sure if I have more. I have only this last slide, yeah, and you tell me that I only also have a couple of minutes left. So as I said, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to chat also there. You can grab a coffee later and come to the 1inch booth, or you use the time, we have a couple of minutes left to ask a question or to say something. I see still a hand from a gentleman there and one here, but you go first.
Hi. I'm founding a company that decentralizes intellectual property rights, and I'm using blockchain records to associate the rights with PayPal accounts.
Mm-hmm.
But
PayPal accounts.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not. But the assets aren't actually held. Well, they're represented. They're virtually represented.
Mm-hmm.
Off the top of your head, would this be regulated?
So you use the blockchain rather as a record-keeping instrument, or?
That's right.
Is the blockchain triggering the payment on PayPal?
The PayPal transaction happens, and then the blockchain record is.
Okay, so the blockchain follows the payment, not other way around.
Right.
In that case, it's fine. If it would be other way around, if the blockchain would trigger the payment, then it could be qualified as a crypto transfer service. But like this, I don't see anything right now. And out of my head, I would say you're good to go.
Okay, good.
Really advice.
Official legal advice.
Yes, you also have something.
Yeah. So basically, I'm going to launch a token soon. So I'm an ICO company.
Can you speak up, please?
Yeah.
ICO is coming.
We are going to launch a token soon with our company and are doing an ICO soon.
Where are you located?
The company is located in Delaware. Yes.
Delaware.
Yeah.
Are you approaching actively the European market by webpage, Slack, I don't know, any Telegram or whatever?
Actively not.
Okay. Then you maybe fall under reverse solicitation, which means you can do whatever you want outside of the European Economic Area, as long as it's in your jurisdiction, fine, and you're not regulated. But what is a further question you actually have? What is the kind of token you're going to issue? Is it a utility token? Is it
It's a utility token.
what do I get if I buy a token from you?
We are launching a platform, basically an e-commerce platform,
Yeah.
the European marketplace.
Yeah.
And you will be able to pay products with it, especially
Like a voucher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Benefit voucher loyalty program. Yeah. It's fine. It's a utility token. If you want to approach the European market by, I don't know, commercials, getting influencers, doing stuff like this, you would need to have a white paper. You cannot issue a white paper because you're not located and registered in the European Economic Area. That's why it's difficult for you. If you find a promoter, which is like a platform, I don't know, Bitpanda or whoever, who is able to list your token on this exchange, and they do the white paper for you, you're absolutely fine. If you don't find anyone, you would need to have a subsidiary. Yeah? Set it up in anywhere within the European Economic Area. It could be even North Ireland, I think, which is very fast and cheap. And then you do the white paper, which is a notification, but the paper itself is complicated. You can find white paper templates for free on the internet, and you give it to the regulator, and the regulator has 20 So 60 days time to review it, and then you're good to go. So you need a white paper in the end if you want to actively approach the European market.
If not, I'm good to go.
Yes, if not, you're fine, and you shouldn't be sweating too much. If you have a utility token, it's not a security token, and you're not doing heavy marketing, and you're fine.
If anyone is open for free airdrop, just hit me up.
A follow-up question for that one before
Yeah.
I have another question. But that's only valid if you are not running the company that is registered in Delaware from EU, right?
Yeah. So if you, for example, have people on the ground who work for your company, even as freelancers, but they really work for you and they live here on the ground, then it's not valid anymore. Yeah? Then you probably, if you get approached by some BaFin lady or gentleman on an event and you ask, who are you? And they say, yeah, I'm from this company from Delaware. What are you doing here? Oh, promotion. Then it's tricky. Yeah.
The other question was, is it clear now what the transfer agent is going to be in the MiCA regulation? I think that was something that is still...
Yeah, there's a Q&A of ESMA, and they answered it. It's an own CASP. You need an own CASP license. It's not sufficient if you have a crypto custody license to do transfer service. You need a specific license for the transfer service.
And how broad is transfer service? Is it just...
Very broad.
Yeah, is it
It
basically
is-
if I say this is the address of that person... and
If you have only a QR code, which enables me to scan the code and to transfer it, it's already transfer service. So we are through. Okay, thanks for the participation and those who came afterwards. If you want to talk to me, just approach me. Thanks.